From unspoiled coastlines to soaring mountain ranges, New Zealand is home to some of the most breathtaking scenery in the world. And some of the most committed V8 fans you'll ever see. Sweet! Oh.
We've got a car on its roof into the wall.
After 7 years, we packed up at Pukekohe, and now we're heading south to the streets of Hamilton. It's a brand new challenge. Long straights, fast turns, and plenty of concrete.
Big trouble there. Heavy contact.
We're taking you across the ditch for round 3 of the V8 Supercar Championship Series.
He lands the first punch at the Hamilton 400.
The Hamilton 400, only on 7.
It is the latest international stop on the V8 Supercar calendar, and it's only a couple of days old, but already this event has captured the hearts of Hamilton, and this circuit has crunched quite a few cars as well. Hello, I'm Matthew White, and welcome to New Zealand for round 3 of the V8 Supercar Championship on 7. It is the final day of the Hamilton 400, races 2 and 3 today. It really is a street fight around here, and it really is all about survival. Good afternoon to Neil Crompton. But gee, it's a lot of fun here, isn't it?
Hi, Matty. Hi, everybody. Yes, hasn't this city done an amazing job of preparing this world-class facility? 3 years in the making, 100,000 man-hours, took 6 weeks to actually build it. What we're left with is an awesome racetrack, and just as it was in Adelaide, street circuit equals weirdness. Jamie Whincup out of business for round number 3, and one of his key championship rivals got off to the perfect start yesterday.
All right, race 1 was quite fascinating. We started with 28 cars. We would finish with 24. Let's take a look at the highlights.
This was qualifying yesterday, and Jamie Whincup tangling here with Todd Kelly at turn 5. An unfortunate racing incident. Both of them were in the middle of qualifying laps. Todd sliding off the ripple strip, neither of them with anywhere to go. Contact was inevitable, and then huge damage to Jamie's car. He will not race this weekend. That's catastrophic. Start of race number 1. Watch carefully, because Winterbottom and Van Gisbergen touch. That could have ended in catastrophe. However, Scaife and Murphy did touch, because Scaife was pushed into the back of the Kiwis' brand new car by Michael Caruso, it seems, but there was even more chaos beyond that. Then we ran down to turn number 2. Shane Price moves a little to the right. Russell Ingall responds, jumps onto the curb. He slams into the side of Stephen Johnson, and it was a traffic jam down there. Drivers trying to grab reverse, then first do 9-point turns. Nothing worked. It was really weird. Then Michael Patrizzi, making his championship debut, makes a mistake trying to catch up to the back of the safety car train. We think it might have been cold tyres. There possibly was a failure. He whacked the wall. Safety car came out for the second time in the race. Then the compulsory pit stop. A huge conga line of cars running in for the CPS. Trouble again down at turn 1. Things all went bad yesterday for Team Vodafone. Lowndes turned around by Murphy. There was a crisscross move on there. Then Lowndes was pinged for an unsafe release from his compulsory pit stop. Then he got a flat tyre. Can you believe it? It comes in threes, doesn't it? So a terribly bad day for Craig Lowndes, and of course his teammate out of action. Watch Andrew Jones here at the turn 4 chicane. Bicycles through there, massive damage. The reason for it, he had a long brake pedal going into the corner. The brakes were fading, he couldn't pull the car up. Bolts were protruding from different tyre bundles. That caught out Shane Van Gisbergen. They had a punctured front right tyre. There it is, looks pretty ordinary and shredded. And ultimately, Garth Tander takes his second race win for 2008. More importantly, 100 points. A real reverse of fortunes between he and Jamie Whincup. He's back in the game. A huge crowd appreciating the performance by Garth, by Rick Kelly, who was ultra consistent for second, and a great run for Stephen Richards for third.
Rick Kelly is now within 16 points of the championship lead. Garth Tander, Kelly and Richards round out the podium. Some of the movers and shakers inside the top 10. Fabian Coulthard, the youngster, went up 3 spots. Todd Kelly, he started from 18th. Look where he finished, 8th. And Will Davison, remember they had to piece together that car after qualifying. A terrific performance to go 6 places up the grid to be inside the top 10. The weather, well, we had a bit of everything yesterday. The outlook is much, much better today, although it's still a bit chilly. A maximum of 18 degrees today, but it's going to be absolutely fine. We'll be on track right after the break. You're on 7 for the Hamilton 400.
I wasn't a racing car driver. Hopefully, I'd be a motoring journalist getting to drive fast cars. At home, my wife drives all the time. I actually get sick of driving, so she's the designated family driver. Home-cooked roast, and then close-up pasta, I would say. I get my thrills from lining up against 27 other lunatics. Most prized possession would be my family. You know, having 2 little kids and my wife, they're certainly number one on top of the podium. Well, definitely 40s, budgie smugglers. Who wears budgie smugglers? My all-time hero is, without a doubt, Lance Armstrong. I think what he achieved on a bike and in a sporting arena is second to none. My wife is always on to me about leaving the seat up, but she gets it wrong. It's actually my son that keeps pushing it up. I always leave it down. Most embarrassing moment for me would be grade 5 at school on the middle of the footy oval being dacked by a girl called Wendy Atkins. Hopefully she's watching. My wife knows that I love her dearly, but coffee would be a very close second.
Couldn't have asked for a better day for the final day of this inaugural race meeting. It's a 7-year deal and the V8 Supercars have signed with the City of Hamilton, and boy have they provided everything you could ask for. Big crowds, lots of facilities and a terrific racetrack, 3.4 kilometres.
Let's take a look at the layout in greater detail now, Matthew. And it's a classic street circuit, lots of bumps, lots of camber variation, lots of concrete walls, and it's easy to find them. 8 turns in total, 3,400 metres. And yesterday it provided extraordinary action. There's the scene on the grid as the cars are being prepared for races 2 and 3 today. Another 36 lapper with a compulsory pit stop.
Let's check out the Fuso grid for the second race of the Hamilton 400 as we welcome our international viewers. Garth Tander and his former teammate Rick Kelly will start from the front row of the grid. This is how they finished race 1. Stephen Richards started on pole, finished 3rd. James Courtney inside the top 4. Gary Rogers Motorsport is having a great weekend, spearheaded by Lee Holdsworth, and also credits to Team Wow with Cameron McConville. Fabian Coulthard, he made up 3 spots throughout the course of that race. Todd Kelly was the big mover. He started from 18th on the grid, ended up 8th. Will Davison, he ended up 6 places ahead of his start, and Mark Winterbottom rounded out the top 10. There's the other half of the Gary Rogers Motorsport connection, Michael Caruso.
Good run yesterday for Tony D'Alberto. Strong finish to the end. Paul Donbrell will be alongside him. They did a small change last night on that car. Not a small one, actually. They replaced valve springs in the car as a precaution after a little rev yesterday. Bit of work for them last night. Looking further back, Craig Lowndes. What a shocker of a day for him yesterday, unfortunately. Greg Murphy down there. Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah, poor old Murph started from 7th, and talk about shockers of days. He had the lot. That's where he ended up in 23rd alongside Paul Morrison. These are the guys that failed to finish. Michael Patrizzi into the wall. Stephen Johnson, very, very disappointed, involved in some contact down at turn 2 with the bloke behind him, Russell Ingall, and Shane Price from Jack Daniels Racing. So that's how they'll line up for this next 36 lapper under clear skies. Normally you'd say, well, it's a certainty it's going to rain around here, but that's where it comes from. You look to the top of your screen, that's where all the weather comes from, and it's looking pretty good at the moment.
There was some steering damage to Greg Murphy's car yesterday, and they got it fixed and patched up and sent him back out in the motor race. But I bumped into him this morning, and he was really positive about the potential performance in that car.
Yeah, Neil, I've just taken a walk down to Michael Patrizzi's pit. Now, in the highlights, we saw that he hit the wall yesterday, and this is just an interesting little side issue here. What's happened is the reinforcing bar that attaches to the bumper bar there has actually, when he's hit the wall, bent back and made a horrible mark on the tyre. So what you say, let's roll this rim over. Have a look at the impact in here. It's made a massive dent, so it's forced its way all the way through the tyre and then buckled the rim inside. The amazing bit of all of this, and the Dunlop technicians will come down later and take some photos, It hasn't lost a pound of pressure. It is absolutely rock hard. One of the other things we saw in the race 1 highlights was the turn 1 debacle. Murph got turned around by Scaife, who got a tap by Michael Caruso. Well, good news, an apology has been made. Check out the front bonnet of Michael Caruso's car. Here's the dent where it says, "Sorry, Scaife, not."
Thank you, Gibbo. How's your wrist after hitting that tyre there? Rock solid. So trundling around now for the warm-up lap. We'll have 12 starters. We came to this weekend with 29, but unfortunately, one man couldn't take part after qualifying. Good news for us and for you at home is that we're going to tap into his knowledge. Jamie Whincup from Team Vodafone down there in pit lane. Have you got me, Jamie?
Hello, Matty. Hello, Neil.
Mate, I know that you'd much rather be out there blasting around in the 88 car, but it couldn't be. Physically, how are you?
Yeah, hey, physically I'm fine. I must admit it feels very, very weird at the moment watching these guys go out for their warm-up lap and I'm standing on pit wall. But as I said, hey, it was a massive impact yesterday and the car held up very well, all the safety precautions. The hands device stretched 2.5 centimetres, believe it or not. So the force that took off my neck was unbelievable. And hey, today, I know I've had a crash, but I feel fine.
Gee, it must have been really hard to go back to the crew, Jamie, especially, you know how much work they put in to get you right, and not only that, but also get across the Tasman. It must have been really hard for you to go back in and see the disappointment.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we pride ourselves as drivers to go out there and be fast and win races, but we also want to keep the car clean. So, hey, yesterday was disappointing. I got involved in an incident and, you know, I come into this round with a 100-point lead and I'm just going to enjoy these last 20 or so minutes of being championship leader for a while.
Exactly. Hey, what are your thoughts on the circuit?
The circuit's fantastic for what Hamilton have done here for the first time is unbelievable. It's got all those variables that a street circuit has: crown roads, manhole covers, white lines, plenty of bumps. You know, it's got real character and it's very, very unique.
Okay, mate. Well, if it's okay with you, we're going to ask you to keep those headphones on, keep that microphone handy, and we're going to tap into your thoughts throughout the race.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. Thanks, guys. I'll chat to you shortly.
Good on you, mate. Jamie Whincup, Team Vodafone and 88 Race Engineering is going to keep us updated from pit lane along with Daniel Gibson and Mark Beretta.
Matt, Neil, you're talking about Greg Murphy earlier on. Just bumped into Murph just before he jumped in the car. He is a big rap for that brand new car. Remember, it's only done 30 laps before it got here to Hamilton. He says it's fantastic and they have made a quantum leap. They are hugely optimistic about today. Keep an eye on Murph.
So we're lined up now and ready to go for the second of 3 races under crystal clear skies at Hamilton. Big, big crowds right around the circuit. They've taken a lot of the unknowns out of it throughout qualifying in race 1. But the street circuits are always hard. A great start off the front row of the grid between the former teammates of Tander and Rick Kelly. It'll be advantage Tander. Look at Stephen Richards right up behind Rick Kelly down to turn 1.
Fabian Coulthard made a very good start as well. Cam McConville tried to move over just to cover, but Coulthard ripped down the inside strongly. Tander, then Rick Kelly, then Stephen Richards, then James Courtney. Lee Holdsworth a good start. Much cleaner through turn 1. Our fingers are crossed at turn 2. Lowndes crossed up on the exit of 2.
Underneath the big trees, they come towards 3. They'll start to snake up towards the back straight. This is where the chicane is. There it is. Tyre bundles inside and out. It throws the cars around massively. Somebody's had to go on straight through on the left-hand side. It was Andrew Jones.
Escape up the inside of him. There was a lot of tyre smoke down there as well, so it looked like somebody, possibly Andrew, had a big lock-up on the braking approach. Remember, tyres are cold. Cold starting pressures means it takes a little bit of time for pressure and temp to build. But Tander's bolted. Got a huge gap already as he works through turns 7 and 8 to come around and end this first of 36 laps. Great shot to watch the cars slide up to the wall on the exit of 8. And Lowndes has got damage. He's tangled up with one of the Team Kiwi cars, I believe. So the margin at the end of the first lap, 1.2 seconds, Tander to Kelly. And this is the problem you have with the congestion that you get at the back of the field. There's the damage on the front of Craig's car on the approach to turn 2.
Noticed also...
Mate, the car looks okay from here. Keep going.
Well, it's looked better. Some pretty hefty damage on Jason Richards' car, number 3, as well, at the front. There's Jason's teammate, Greg Murphy. 4-time round winner at Pukekohe. Incoming at the chicane. That's turn 5. That's the one where Jamie found the wall. This is what they were worried about with Garth Tander, Cromley. When he starts in front lately, he showed it at the non-championship round at the Grand Prix. He starts in front, puts his head down and scoots away.
Well, this is a much, much better start to activities than race 1 yesterday. Pretty clean start for the majority of the field, Dan.
We've already seen Andrew Jones go on the chicane there a little wide, of course. That cost him big time. We saw spectacular two-wheeled action through there. He got a talking to from the team because it cost them big points yesterday. And Tander was told to stay off them yesterday too because we started to see punctured tyres. He did that for 1 lap and was very, very careful. It cost him 8 tenths. He didn't do it again.
Fastest lap of the race so far, Tander 26.05. And matching that speed almost precisely, Rick Kelly's done a 26.06. Stephen Richards is 2 seconds adrift in 3rd. That is a massive bump on the approach to turn 3. The order: Tander, Kelly, Richards, Courtney, Holdsworth, Todd Kelly in 7th, then Cam McConville, Fabian Coulthard, Mark Winterbottom, and Will Davison in the 10. What a great recovery from the trauma they had on Friday. I mentioned when we went through the Fuso grid, the starting position for Tony D'Alberto. That was a great performance. You know, he started from the pit lane, worked his way through yesterday. Big lock up there for Stephen Richards on the brake approach to 6. Looks like he recovered it out the other side, hopefully not with a mark on the tyre, but remember the compulsory pit stop comes along soon. But well done, D'Alberto. He's still rocketing around there in 12th at the moment. Good strategy and good speed did the job for him yesterday.
Gee, they've had a tough weekend at Team Vodafone. Roland Dane, team boss, just says Craig Lowndes' damage is all superficial. They won't be bringing him in.
125.7 now for Garth Tander, opens the margin to 1.2 seconds. And only a little over Rick Kelly, who's almost recorded identical time there. And what's going on here at turn 2? Bit of chaos. Shane Price down the inside of Marcus Marshall, but it didn't work out. He's ended up in the wall on the outside. Michael Patrizzi sneaks through. And only tiny contact there, but an awkward situation as they both try and find reverse gear and get themselves away from the wall. Bit of debris up there also in the chicane. Gives you an idea of the kind of pounding that the cars are getting across the curbing there. When you look at the suspension movement traces on the data in some of the teams, the velocity of the damp. Oh, that sounded like a nasty crunch in the background, or is it just my imagination? Someone locking a brake. Richards done a very fast split to the 2nd sector on board here with his teammate Mark Winterbottom. He's 9th.
Frosty started 10th, so he's picked himself up 1 spot so far. Fastest lap there by Stephen Richards, 125.467. Here's Winterbottom on the inside of Coulthard at turn 1. But Fabian holds his line and holds on to 8th position. We'll be back at the Hamilton 400 right after this. Garth Tander has just done back-to-back fastest laps of the race. A 125.17. His gap is now 1.7 seconds, but the pit window is open, so the activity in the lane is on. Winterbottom is in.
So is Todd Kelly. Garth Tander chose to stay out, so did Rick Kelly. He's got good pace at the moment. No need to jump off the track while you're making good pace. Lots of leaf litter at the front of Lee Holdsworth's car.
Wait! Go!
He didn't want to wait.
Go.
Todd rejoins cleanly. Lee Holdsworth, Mark Winterbottom. Officials have been looking at the mirrors on Russell Ingall's car. One of them's gone missing. Pretty stringent when it comes to loose bodywork on the cars, and sometimes we see a mechanical black flag for those problems. Tander's in this lap. Cold rear tyres, but they'll come up to tempered pressure very quick.
Neil, yesterday during race one, we saw a couple of infringements for unsafe releases from pit lane. What's happening is that the car controller is releasing the car, but the new surface down here is quite slippery, so the drivers are spinning the wheels, and that's chewing up the time, so it's quite tight.
CPS slide off. Jacks to 2. For now. Slide right down. Go. Get in, boys, get in.
Very low percentage throttle in the pit lane, down around 10-11%.
Exit clear, be patient with traffic, she'll be okay.
It's the voice. Gas engineer Matt Nilsson. The previous voice was team manager Rob Crawford, car controller there as well. So that was pretty much a textbook stop.
It was a very controlled stop from the moment he came in to the moment he left, and everything in between. A lot of cool, calm heads there. And patience was the word when he went back out. Rick Kelly has stayed out there, so too has Stephen Richards and James Courtney.
I just noticed that Garth was coming up onto the back of Michael Patrizzi there. He's got a little bit of traffic to negotiate. Depending on when those fellows choose to make their compulsory stop, that could impact his lap speed. Not easy to pass. Yesterday's...
Jacks to 2, green CPS line on. Got a good run in, nice and smooth.
These fellas were second and third in race one yesterday. They're line astern for this compulsory stop now, and see D'Alberto's crew preparing in the background there too. Problem with the wheel nut on the left rear.
Go.
That hurt.
Okay, mate, get back down into your rhythm. Think about what you need to do with the bar.
Didn't actually see it, but I'm pretty certain that Stephen Richards is in front of him. Problem with the wheel nut at the critical moment there, and that looks to me like Stephen up in the areas. So Richards climbing over the top of Rick Kelly in that stop. Only takes a second or two. Tiniest little fumble makes a huge difference on the racetrack, and very often it's time that's near impossible to make up in a business where the cars are separated by fractions.
Had a chat to Rick this morning. He said the very difficult thing about this circuit is just how much it changes. Half of it, you need the car to be stiffer. The other half, you need it softer. And then the other thing is the chicane, where he likes to keep the car nice and straight, to go soaring on in there and play a high-risk attack is not Rick Kelly's go. Here comes Courtney. It's all about a balance at the Hamilton 400. That looked very smooth.
Good result for them yesterday in the Gelwin car. They needed a solid result. They got good points out of it. It was calm and controlled. Made up for some of the difficult races that they've had earlier in the year. Ross Stone sat down with James, and James' manager Alan Gow sat down with him as well and said, we just need you to settle down a little bit. We know you've got the pace. Don't try too hard. Concentrate on bringing the car home, getting good results. You did that yesterday. So the box was ticked. That was important.
Neil, the problem at the dealer team with Rick Kelly was as they put on the incoming tyre, the nut actually popped out of the rib. It's cost him 4.5 seconds. Sad for them, but FPR saw it while they were doing Richo stop, and they're ecstatic.
Man's loss is another man's game. And despite that, Kelly's still going to be in a good position here. And he's been very consistent so far this championship. Race 1 in Adelaide, 8th. Race 2, 6th. Race 1 at Eastern Creek, 4th. Race 2, 6th. Race 3, 2nd. Yesterday, that strong second placing, that's how you build a championship. Anytime you can operate in the top 6 cars, history tells us that if you stay in and around that top 6 or so cars, race after race after race in this championship, you will fight for victory at the end of it all. That's what he's doing.
That's what he did a couple of years ago. Consistency paid off brilliantly for Rick Kelly.
Great speed, mate, great speed. Make sure you're not hurting the tyres too much at that rear bar setting.
It's one thing to have a game plan, it's another to stick to it. Stephen Richards has just done another fastest lap time, 1:25.07.
And that's the new lap record around this track. Greg Murphy held the lap record from yesterday as Mark Scaife negotiates his compulsory stop. Difficult circumstances for him yesterday, a little mix-up in the pit lane, communications issues, and remember the teams can only process one car at a time. He got stranded.
Good job, mate. Mate, yesterday the bar settings were 5.343.
He's getting Mark to trim the anti-roll bars in the car in preparation for this stint. Saying that Greg Murphy had the lap record after yesterday's race 1, so that's now been knocked off by Stephen Richards. Garth Tander's done the fastest split to the end of Sector 1. And car 7, bad sportsmanship flag, Todd Kelly for consistently climbing over the curbs. And that first sector that I made reference to is just on the exit of turn 3, just before they get to that fast chicane that we saw there. A bit of that leaf litter in the front of Mark Scaife's car. Drivers are not allowed to cross over that curbing at turn 5 with all 4 wheels and tyres, or the yellow line at turn 6. Tander's now done a 24.9, new lap record for him.
I mentioned that Richards had the lap record time on the previous lap. He did it with Michael Petrucci in front of him, but he's now managed to get in front of the 777 car as the 888 car comes in. Craig Lowndes.
The green set. Thank you.
Stop for Lowndes. They've just took the opportunity to fold the mirror back out so that Craig can see around him in a critical moment. A lot of damage around the front, but I think it's only relatively superficial. But Jamie Whincup, you've got the ears on down there at the moment. Hasn't been a great start in this one for CL. What on earth have you guys done this weekend? Who did you cross for all this bad luck?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Neil, but yeah, as you see, Craig's got a little bit of damage there, and I hope it's not too significant. So we're sort of running out of parts at this overseas round. But hey, what we've seen, Garth Tanner, fantastic first lap like what we usually see, and he's got out there and got an easy gap. And I actually just watched the HRT pit stop, and those boys were doing it easy. They weren't rushing. They did a nice 4-second stop, and they're doing it easy from the front.
Frustrating though it may be to not be in your race car. You're learning anything? Are there any points of interest down there in the lane, just observing the way other people go about it, even just watching the cars under brakes into turn 1?
Yeah, absolutely. I had an opportunity, you know, to feel the tyres and the brakes on the grid, to see exactly what temperature they're up to, and just to see the actual competition that goes on in the pits here between all the pit crews. Like we've seen Rick Kelly and Stephen Richards come in, and the pit crew guys, it's high pressure. They've got to get out nice and quick, and unfortunately for the HSV team, they had a stuck wheel nut on the left rear. But you know, hopefully what we can see is Richo you know, turn it up a bit and try to catch Garth and make a race for it.
Talk about the action down in pit lane. Look at the drama unfolding at Jim Beam Racing. Will Davison had come in, but they had to push his car along so Stephen could then come in. Stephen Johnson could come in.
George, why do we come in behind Will?
Well, Stephen's not very happy. obviously there's a problem with Will Davison's car, driveline problem, and they're unable to get the car to move. And then I was surprised that there weren't more people to help get that thing out of the way. But in the confusion, the job had to be done to process Stephen's car. I think I'll just put it in the garage. It doesn't need to be there in the lane at the moment. But puts paid to race 2 for Will Davison, unfortunately.
So on the road, Jason Bright, Jason Richards, Shane Van Gisbergen yet to pit. Garth Tander has done his compulsory stop. He has since been banking lap record times. He's the man to catch yet again. We'll come back to the street circuit here in race 2 of round 3 of the V8 Supercars. Welcome back. Here's a bit of action. Stephen Richards has been showing extraordinary pace. He's had traffic to deal with. The super cheap auto car, Russell Ingall, is now in front of him with his right mirror dangling.
Russell's yet to take his compulsory stop. Stephen's done his. They said that mirror had actually gone, but still hanging there by a thread. And Stephen was just on the radio, probably just confirming what Russell's position is in the race. Until he makes his CPS, there's not really much you can do about him. But now the super cheap car comes to the lane, and that frees Stephen Richards. He's released now, so he can get back on with that cracking pace that you made reference to. Bright's the leader of the race.
Which is in the up position.
Jason brushed the wall yesterday. Jason Richards, compulsory stop. Jason Bright, the leader. Shane Van Gisbergen second. Jason Richards, his stop just done. There's the difference in the grip level between the concrete apron and the pit lane.
Nothing at all. Nothing keys in the gearbox. And the clutch is looking real bad, real bad.
Sound like Russell.
Yeah, okay, dude. I'm just going to have to circulate then. There's 22 laps to go.
So no brakes, and he's hanging on the gearbox, he said, and the clutch is having a slip, so it's all going on there. In fact, yesterday the thing bit up the clutch, that is, on the line and propelled him, and then he said, I knew that I basically jumped the start on the reds, so I pulled it up to make sure that they knew that I didn't make advantage out of it, and that was obviously an awkward way to start the motor race. So there's a little clutch trauma going on there now for the second day in a row.
Boys, the bad luck isn't confined to Team Vodafone. Jim Beam Racing have just had a terrible pit stop, as you saw. Will Davison, basically, while he was installed the car, at some point the starter motor cable became detached, so they had to bring the car in, jack it up, get underneath, reconnect the cable and get him back out there. He's lost so much time. While that was happening, Steve Johnson, who came in behind him, lost about 6 seconds on his stop. What should have been a 4-second stop ended up to be a 10.8-second stop. So that has cost Jim Beam Racing dearly.
And I don't know for sure, Barretts, but you can almost certainly trace that back to having to do an all-nighter on Friday night, an engine change and 101 components on that car changed. And every now and again you see these things that the crews have to pull an all-nighter, and there's huge pressure, massive tiredness. It's a very difficult thing to turn a car around from substantial damage like that, put it on the racetrack and expect it to be 100% bulletproof, and it's probably trapped them, I'd say.
Been a pretty rock-solid performance from this man, Cameron McConville.
It's a great shot. Cameron McConville, good result yesterday. Been showing lots of promise this season in the WOW Racing Holden Commodore. He's 8th at the moment. He's in behind Rick Kelly, in front of Lee Holdsworth there. Mark Winterbottom next in the queue. Both Holdsworth and McConville have done a great job for Holden this year. There's a lot of litter in the front of that car. When you see the low angle, that will bump the water temperatures up and the oil temps. Leaves fall out of the front of Jason Bright's car. A bit more wind around here today, Matthew. It's from the southeast rather than the southwest. Oh, problem in the right rear for Jason Bright. He had an eye infection too between races, really knocked him around. He said, thankfully the race wasn't last weekend, or I wouldn't have been able to get through it. So he dropped 5 or 6 or more seconds then with a problem in the right rear.
coming into this weekend, Jason Bright said one of his aims and the team's aim was to...
5 seconds, CPS light off.
was to stay out of all the carnage that would surely unfold on a street circuit, on a brand new street circuit with a bit of rain.
3 months remaining, Jason, 3 months remaining.
Well, he was Nostradamus, all right, and he managed to miss all the accidents yesterday, and so too did his young teammate, Marcus Marshall.
Wasn't happy about that stop. First thing he said in the lane when he got clear was what happened. 11th yesterday, and he thought that the improvements that he'd made overnight make that car handsome in the race, but he's just given away a bundle of time, unfortunately. Some sort of an issue with the right rear. Back to McConville. And still that gap remains to Lee Holdsworth. There's a bit more of a margin up the road to Rick Kelly. It's 2.6 seconds. Still to stop, Shane Van Gisbergen. Jason Bright, we just saw, has done his stop. Even though he's showing second on the computer timing at the moment, that'll cleanse in just a moment.
Just keep it smooth. You're still third fastest car on the track. Exception Kelly's.
And let's have a look at those times, because McConville just done a 25.5, and he's right, Rick Kelly's done a 26 even, so Cam took half a second out of him that lap and pulled the margin down to 2.1 seconds. There's the Zinger splits the last 4 laps between both McConville and Lee Holdsworth in favour of Lee, 3 of those 4. So the pressure's on Cam at the moment. A bit more sunlight, direct sunlight on the racetrack for this race 2 versus race 1 yesterday. Be curious to see how brakes cope with this. Ooh, a bit of plastic almost getting caught up in the front of Cam McConville's car. I looked at the brakes on this car this morning, front and rear, to see they have paint on the brake rotors that goes off. There's 3 stages of colours, and it goes off at various temperature ranges, and it's almost taken the highest temperature range off the rotor on the front and the rear, the red colour. So Daniel made reference yesterday to the very high brake temperatures that we're seeing here. And I reckon with a bit more sunlight on the road, and if there's a bit more grip around, which the lap times are suggesting at the moment, there'll be a few people who've just got to be a bit careful with the way they apply brake pressure. I saw a monster number in someone's data yesterday with a massive brake pressure on the run into turn 1, so they're really hooking into it down there.
Young Kiwi Shane Van Gisbergen is stretching his pit stop strategy right out to the limit, but Garth Tander will resume the lead once Van Gisbergen pulls in.
Monday on Sydney's Brekkie Show, the fallout from 2020, the PM joined us live.
Plus James Tobin scoop with Usher. He reveals his softer side.
Sunrise on Monday.
Welcome to the retreat, boys.
What about it? Bloody thirsty, mate.
A lot of gold inside. This way, fellas.
Jacko, you're a legend.
Well, wouldn't want the retreat to run dry.
Hello, boys.
What an angel. She looks hot.
Well, you'd be hot too in that jacket.
Oh,
fantastic. Jacko, you've excelled yourself, mate.
If you can find a high-performance synthetic engine oil that delivers less friction, buy it. Nulon Oils, the lifeblood of high performance. Demand the best. Demand Nulon.
Master your great outdoors with Husqvarna's outdoor power equipment for exceptional power, performance and reliability. Visit husqvarna.com.au and you could win a Husqvarna garden package worth over $10,000.
It was a normal sunny day walking on my lunch break, and then it happened.
Hello, Sarah.
I didn't want to see him again, but this time there was something different. Is that KFC's new honey barbecue glazed twister?
Yeah.
Mmm, 2 breast fillet crispy strips dipped in a honey barbecue glaze on a bed of salad, all wrapped in a soft, warm tortilla. Thanks. A new love was just what I needed.
Honey barbecue glazed twister, part of KFC's new twister range.
Avionics Tech is basically someone who works on aircraft, be it Black Hawk, Chinook. I was actually a greenkeeper before I joined up. I knew nothing about electronics and just learned everything from there, like all about how a circuit card works to different components. You learn every system on the Black Hawk. You can also do other trade jobs in the Army, like mechanic, carpenter, electrician, and then you get a nationally recognised qualification out of it. I get to work on multi-million-dollar aircraft all the time. Yeah, I'm proud of what I do. Craftsman Brian McDonald, Avionics Technician, Australian Army.
The 2008 V8 Supercar Championship Series telecast, made possible by KFC's Zinger Burger. It really gets you racing. And Fujitsu, Australia's favourite air.
Here's the 19-year-old Kiwi Shane Van Gisbergen coming in, so that means the whole field's now.
Waiting. Go. Yeah, that's it, mate. Let's use these red tyres. Think about your rear bar, your brake tyres. Let's do it.
Now completed all their stops. BigPondSport.com is where you need to go if you're a V8 Supercar fan. That's live and on-demand action. If you're a sport fan, it's the place to be for all your updates. He's turned a lot of heads in his first full-time V8 Supercar year, Shane Van Gisbergen. He started this race 21st after having a terrific run yesterday, ended by a flat really late in the day. It was a heartbreaker, that one, for Stone Brothers Racing in the SP Tools entry.
And he's dropped in between Jason Richards and Tony D'Alberto, so he'll be hovering just outside the top 10, 11, 12, around that region. The compulsory stop is done. Tanner's in the lead of the race. Stephen Richards, James Courtney, Todd and Rick Kelly, 5th and 6th. Good run here for Todd Kelly.
Check out Jason Richards' car. Watch this as he goes past. He's all crumpled on the front right-hand side.
Here's the race leader. And the margin between he and Stephen Richards is 2.4 seconds. James Courtney is next in the queue, third, 1.3 behind Stephen Richards. Then it's a bit of a margin after you get past James Courtney. You can see the fresh air in the background there. Just had a glimpse of Todd Kelly next in the queue, and that's about 5 seconds, 5.9 seconds to be accurate. And then Rick Kelly, his brother, is right in his wheel tracks. He's only 0.6 of a second behind. Remember that Rick was hurt by the problem in the pit lane. Oh, problem here for Greg Murphy in that brand new car. He's just giving the steering a bit of a shake here to try and figure out a problem, I'd suggest. Sprint Gas Racing Commodore got some damage around the front. I think he's just checking the front of it. He must have whacked the tyres at the chicane, I'd say, and he must have some steering damage. I reckon he'll be in. Steve Henderson, his engineer. So did something break, which then sent him into the tyres, or did he hit the tyres and break something? Always two ways of looking at it. We're on board Sprint Gas Commodore, and in comes Greg.
Righto, mate. We'll try and fix it here, and we'll send you back out just to make sure it's right for the next race. Gonna go straight in the shed, mate. We've got the front bars half hanging off, so have a look at that. Make sure there's nothing else.
A couple of laps back on the Zinger replay, collected it.
That'll be why. So it was the latter in my speculation. It was whacked the tyres, damaged the car.
So with all the CPSs done, Garth Tander now has a 2.2 second lead over Stephen Richards and James Courtney. The top 10 rounded out at this moment by Michael Caruso. You're watching the Hamilton 400, the V8 Supercar Championships, New Zealand home for round 3. And
there's been a bit of a shuffle here because Cam McConville's been overtaken by Lee Holdsworth. We didn't see it. Definitely an angry little pack, this one. Lots going on. Rick Kelly, Lee Holdsworth, Cam McConville.
And behind them, Mark Winterbottom, Fabian Coulthard, Michael Caruso.
And I reckon, where's Todd gone? Because Todd was, there he is, he was in this mix as well. So something really weird's gone on here. And he's under attack now from Fabian Coulthard, who's going to have a run down the inside and might even get the job done.
He will.
So remember that. So something's rubbing. Did he collect the tyres also in the chicane? Jamie Whincup's monitoring again from the pit lane. Was it scraping as it went past you down there, mate?
Yeah, it was. It looked like Todd has done a similar thing to Greg and just taken a little bit too much of the curb down at the chicane there. Hey, it's not a mistake. It's, you know, you're entering that chicane in 5th gear, back down to 3rd, and the more aggressive you are on the curbs and the closer you get to the tyres, the faster you go through there. So, hey, these guys are pushing very, very hard. And unfortunately, they've just collected the tyres, which has broken the front splitter, and now it's dragging on the ground.
Is it something that you'd like to see, given that they've done such a great job with the engineering of the whole project here, is it something you'd like to see amended for next year, or do you reckon we leave it as it is?
No, hey, as you say, they've done a fantastic job of the circuit, and it's very unique, and we have to slow the cars down heading into turn 5, so the chicane is paramount, but I do believe we will be able to fine-tune it for next year and just make it nicer on the cars, and so we can get a little bit more of a flow through there.
Yellow flags flying at the southern end of the circuit at the moment, so there must be some trouble somewhere up around turns 7 and 8. I believe there's a muffler on the track, and here's the front of Todd Kelly's car. Can't see anything, but Jamie confirming that he can hear that the splitter might be dragging on the road. The safety car's been deployed so that we can now clear that debris off the racetrack. Maybe that was the noise coming from Todd's car. Maybe it's not the splitter, it might be the muffler that was dragging that everybody could hear, and it's now come adrift. Who knows?
Isn't it funny? We're just running through all those split times, the red versus blue split times. And now they're not worth anything because the safety car's out. This is Shane Van Gisbergen down at turn 3. Taking the shortcut. He's coming back into pit lane.
Marcus Marshall's come in there as well.
Guys, Shane Van Gisbergen on his way in as well. They're not sure whether he's punctured a tyre when he nudged the that tyre barrier, but they are going to bring him in and change both front tyres for him.
So the run to the checkered flag is going to be very interesting because the field will be all bunched up. Bring you back to the streets of Hamilton right after this break. The lights are out on the safety car. And you can see Todd Kelly coming in deep into that chicane, getting a real big kick up as he hit the inside. And this is the offending item being shish kebabbed by one of the flag marshals.
It is for you to say. And I believe that is a component of Todd Kelly's car. He's been talking about it on the radio, a bit of red hot exhaust there. And
Chrysler pulls away, unleashes the field. Garth Tander, Stephen Richards, James Courtney, Rick Kelly, Lee Holdsworth, down to turn 1. It's what Richards has been waiting for as Fabian Coulthard gets stuck on the outside there of McConville.
Oh, trouble back there at turn 1. I think Scape and Lowndes were tangled up.
Yes, and Andrew Thompson as well. Scape's gone heavily into the tyre barrier there.
Remarkable that Team Vodafone cars in the wars again. Just saw a glimpse of Scape going backwards through the pack there. So something weird has happened at turn 1 on the restart.
Through turn 4 they shoot. Unbelievable amount of unsettling that goes on there. Russell Ingall just came bouncing through there.
Gee, Garth does a good job on tyres that have just cooled out a little bit or just lost a pound or 2 of pressure. He was very good at the very start of the race on cold tyres, and already he's just built a tiny little gap on Stephen Richards at the critical moment, just takes that pressure off him when it counts. Then he can settle back into his normal rhythm when all the temperatures and pressures all normalise. Away he goes again. Margin at the end of that lap for Garth Tander, exactly 1 second. Look at the pack behind. Let's have a look back here at turn 1. It's the aftermath, and Andrew Thompson's car's got a huge amount of damage. I think Lowndes was just an unwilling participant in all that. Here it is again. Oh yeah, Thompson has given Scaife a massive nudge, and then Craig was just on the outside of the mess, basically. Unfortunately, that's the stuff that happens back in the pack.
Take a look at this on the left-hand side. Watch this.
Wow, that's a lot of damage.
Oh dear, it's like Lego blocks. PWR Performance Products, car number 50.
It's ugly, but I think it's some superficial body work. Off to go, right.
And Rob Crawford's asking Mark Scaife, is it drivable? They just want to make sure that the car's safe. They'll do their best to just patch it up and send it back out. Meantime, that margin Tander to Richards is now 1.2 seconds. And Patrizzi, this looks like a carbon copy of yesterday, only
today.
It's today. Thank you.
He's done an action replay. It's exactly what happened to Michael Patrizzi yesterday. And
that's Todd Kelly up there
Kelly's
as well.
gone and followed him as well.
It suggests there might be something on the road up there.
Well, no sign of the safety car boards or flags around the circuit, so we're still attacking. Tander had a 1 second lead the time around before. He stretched it out to 1.16. Looks as though Stephen Richards has pulled away a little bit from James Courtney. Rick Kelly is fourth. Remember, he started second. A little glitch in pit lane hurt them badly. It's a 4-second stop. It took him 8 seconds. The wheel nut problem, and tucked in behind him is Lee Holdsworth. Another replay back at the chicane. Tyre barrier comes a whack from Jason Bright.
Before all the kerfuffle in the last few laps, I was going to make a point about how vigorous this battle is. It's a ripper. Rick Kelly, Lee Holdsworth, Cam McConville, Mark Winterbottom's in there. He's got some body damage just rubbing on that tyre. Fabian Coulthard continues to impress in the Glenfords Ford. Winterbottom really buried in the traffic there at the moment. There'll be a lot of hot air going into the front of that car. Makes turning more difficult, it makes braking more difficult, brings the engine temperatures up. He's got a train of 4 cars in front of him. Now, more problems here for Andrew as they bring the Hogsbreath Cafe car in, and obviously with that amount of damage, it's better to just park it. So the Go-Jack's going beneath the car, they'll roll it back into the garage, get some repair work done to make sure that he's on the grid for race number 3. Tander's still sitting on the fastest lap of the race and the new lap record, 1:24.9. And his margin still holding steady at 1 second, and he made most of that on the restart lap. And now at Holt Station, so that's good work. Last lap for Tander, incidentally, was a 25.4, so he's only 0.5 of a second away from his peak speed.
Holdsworth on the inside, and he's got Rick Kelly, and look at Cam McConville. Wants to go too. They were all lining up, waiting to have a crack. Rick has to hold off. McConville coming into 2. He won't be able to do that there at the hairpin. So Kelly's lost 2 spots. Fabian Coulthard is lining up for next. Rick goes from 4th to 6th. Lee Holdsworth goes up to 4th.
And Scaife just sidestepping all the action up the back straight, knowing that he's out of contention, giving everybody space. Here's the move again. Holdsworth down the inside. We're looking rearward from Rick Kelly's car. And McConville takes advantage as well on the exit in the short chute between 1 and 2.
I think Rick knew what was coming there. Played the safest hand.
And the smartest hand. Better, if you know you're vulnerable and you're going to get rolled on by everybody, you're better to sidestep sometimes and just let the move happen and get back on with a race rhythm that suits your car. Maybe he's hurting a bit for brakes, maybe he's hurting a bit for grip or balance. A result is still worth a bunch of points. Hanging out of the fence delivers nothing but an invoice.
Craig Lowndes is having a good look at Andrew Jones. They're 15th and 16th.
16, 5 to go. Watch the debris, turn 1.
That debris is a result of the Scaife Thompson incident. And he got him. So Lowndes got him there.
Brings Craig up to 15th. And now that slots him in behind Stephen Johnson. I think Shane Price has got some trouble as well. Here it is again in replay, and that was very easy for Craig Lowndes down the inside. Shane Price, I think you'll find, brings the car in on this lap, and he may have also made contact, heavy contact with chicane at turn 4. 1.2 seconds now, Garth Tander over Stephen Richards, just easing the margin slightly. Courtney still watching brief in third. Holdsworth and then Cam McConville. The debris flag is also being shown on the main straight at the moment. Sometimes and generally means oil, but there might also be some other stuff down there as a result of all the contact a couple of laps earlier at 1. Can't spot anything there.
Bang Gisborne going low. Caution, Bang Gisborne going slow in front of you.
Russell Ingall in and out of business, it seems. 1.19 seconds gap, Tander to Stephen Richards. Lap times for both of them are 25.6 for Garth, a 25.5 for Stephen Richards, and Shane van Gisbergen just pulling off in the straight ahead position at turn 3 at the Ford chicane. Courtney's just having a lonely race there at the moment, and even this little battle certainly settled down in the first group. Back here it's a bit more vigorous. Rick Kelly, Fabian Coulthard, Mark Winterbottom, that's certainly not resolved. You can add Michael Caruso to that. Winterbottom down the inside here. The replay shows that he was able to do a nice job on Fabian Coulthard. Gets it done without exchanging paint. Interested to know after this race what it is that people are hurting for. Is it brakes giving them a bit of grief? Is it balance? Nearly at the end of this race now. And Winterbottom really paying the price this weekend for the difficulties he had in qualifying. Frustrated, like most people, by the weather and by red flags. Once you go down the order, even if your car's good, it doesn't automatically mean that you can climb back through the field. There's Shane Price. I mentioned before that they were going to bring the car in. It was better to look at it than end up in a wall somewhere, so they're doing a precautionary check. So he's making progress, Mark Winterbottom, but it's long and painful. 7th at the moment, and probably fair to say that he's got Rick Kelly in the gun sights, because Rick just for some reason has lost a little bit of pace.
It was really evident, wasn't it, when Lee Holdsworth was right up behind Rick and the conga line behind him. They were just waiting to be unleashed. Stephen Richards has been matching Garth Tander blow for blow in terms of lap times, but the gap therefore has remained the same as well.
Actually, Richo's taken 2/10 out of him in that middle sector. You can see it just that little bit closer. Good pressure motor racing between a couple of pros. This, watch their cars carefully. You're seeing a millimetre perfect display here. They're not using any road that they don't have to use that risks the car, but they're basically keeping the cars really straight and using the sensible amount of road. You've got to be very careful on these tracks. You start rubbing up against walls and sliding off the exits and looking like a flapping rag. You kind of hold your breath and go, whoop, but these guys are running hard and fast at the moment. without looking as though they're going to throw them into the wall.
You take this all the way back to Friday, where qualifying is everything. Remember, Richo qualified on pole. Garth qualified second. Stephen got caught up in a bit of drama under the safety car conditions in race 1. Tander took advantage, and the two continue to go out the front here in race 2. On lap 35 and 36. So next time around, there'll be one to complete.
In this first sector on this lap, Tander and Richards pretty much equal. In fact, Tander might have grabbed a 10th back on him. Winterbottom now just that bit closer again to Rick Kelly at turn 5.
And you watch how hard both of these guys fight for this one position. 6th in front. Mark is currently 7th. And you mentioned Cromley at the start, for Rick Kelly constantly be in the top 6, consistently be there. You start picking up a lot of points and you start putting together a very good cause and case in the argument for a championship. So 1 to go in race 2, 3.4 kilometres left. Garth Tander has a 1.1 second lead over the Castrol FPR Falcon of Stephen Richards. Third is James Courtney. Since the restart, he's been in his own piece of territory. Effectively hasn't been bothered by anybody. Turn 5.
Just trying to make sure that Van Gisbergen is classified as a finisher and gets some points, I'd say. He's down in 27th at the moment. Just dribbling around at the back of the field. He stayed well clear there of the leaders. They've only got a couple of corners to go. Once again, Stephen's taken a tiny bit of time out of Garth in the middle sector, but it's too late.
It's too hard.
Make a drive, mate. Good stuff.
Yet again, consistency is the key for Garth Tander. Richard second. Toll HRT celebrate another race victory. James Courtney third. Holdsworth fourth. Cam McConville fifth. Rick Kelly holds on to 6th. Mark Winterbottom 7th. Fabian Coulthard is 8th. Michael Caruso 9th. And Jason Richards in car number 3, Sprint Gas Racing, started 20th, finished 10th. And here's Tander, just methodical performance. He ticks all the boxes. He ditto that remark for the man behind him. So 2 out of 2, 200 points for the weekend so far. Here's the provisional results. There's no question about what happened out the front. Tander, then the 2 Fords. Gary Rogers Motorsport. 2 guys inside the top 10, Holdsworth and Caruso. Tony D'Alberto again up inside the top 15, and Craig Lowndes has managed to buy back up towards, well, 15th position after starting from 19th. A couple of DNFs, more action still to come, another 36 laps to complete the Hamilton 400. Garth Tander is accumulating race wins at a pretty handy rate. 2 for this weekend, 3 for the season, 32 now for his career, and the points are starting to flow. So he's got maximum points here at the Hamilton 400 with 1 race to go. Stephen Richards, 178 in the bank. And Rick Kelly has put in 160 so far. That has taken him to the top of the Championship Series list as he overtakes Jamie Whincup. So Rick Kelly now the Championship Series leader. Let's hear, though, from our race winner, Garth Tander.
GT, congratulations. That's why you're here on the General's #1 team to win races.
Yeah, look, good result, and we made some changes to the car overnight, and the car was a lot better. The track gripped up like we thought it would. you know, Richo had really good pace in that one too. So after the safety car, I knew I was going to have a battle on my hands.
A couple of blokes here keeping you honest.
Oh, it's good though, isn't it? I mean, you know, Richo made a small mistake in race 1 and got wide, so no doubt he's after a bit of redemption. But, you know, we want to win a few races, so, you know, everything's going well.
And a big crowd too, of course, have turned out here, and they love the Holdens. Big cheers when you come into the pit lane after being a winner too.
Oh, look, you know, the fans here are absolutely fantastic. They're so passionate about V8 racing, and there's a few Holden supporters up there in the grandstand, so let's hope we can give them something in race 3. Good luck. Thanks, mate.
Well, James Courtney, it's hot racing out there. You've cracked the top 3. Well done.
Yeah, it's our first top 3 of the year so far. We've been in the opportunity to win a couple and, yeah, haven't come away with anything. So it's good to give this as a bit of a reward to the guys.
And you're sitting 3rd for the round 2. Has there been a bit of a change of strategy for you? Are you sort of thinking more championship these days?
No, it's just I didn't really have the car to push Richo that much. So I'm still going out for race wins and things. It's, yeah, it's what I do. I'm a hard racer and I go out there to race hard. But for sure, I've got to control the aggression a little bit more. But no, yeah, I'm still going out to win races.
All right, mate, looking forward to that 3rd race.
This can be our first win.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks, mate.
Cam McConville, it's going all right for you too.
Yeah, it's nice to be up the pointy end, mate. And look, the car really grips up as the race goes on, so my pace is a little bit slow at the start, but once the rubber goes down, the car's really quick.
No problems with the car. It's all starting to sort of feel pretty nicely to you.
Yeah, we bent a shock yesterday just bashing the curbs, and we'll check them again because you just can't go quick here without launching it like a motocross bike. So we're a little bit hard on the car, but we're up there. That's the main thing.
Well, I think as we look through the results so far, because we're in New Zealand, well, sucks for the rounds, so we're going beautifully.
Well, you said it. I don't know if I can even pronounce it that way. Yeah, look, top sucks for the round is nice. Hopefully we can press on in the last race.
You'll deserve some flush and chops. See you later.
Cheers.
Thanks, Cam.
And the best news for Cam McConville and Team BOC, the WOW Racer, is the weekend is on an upward curve. You can't ask for much more than that. The Big Pond 400 is the next round of the championship. It's at Barbagallo in WA, May 9 to 11. And then after that, we're going to go to Sandown for the 400, June 7 to 9. There's the details if you want to be part of the action at the track. Otherwise, of course, you can see it all here on 7. Straight after this, race 3 of the Hamilton 400. Can they prevent a Tanda clean sweep? We're going to find out next.